Hi folks, we're Tacitus Today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the wider economic issue, and this is happening all across the Western world, of replacing the most competent people with the least competent people. And that's in any field of endeavor. It could be in government departments, it could be in private business, it could be in the multinationals, it could be the local mechanics workshop, the local library, the local fucking doctors or dentists, or anywhere and everywhere. The most competent people have been replaced with the least competent. Now, if this was only in a couple of little tiny niches or something, who would care? But instead, it's teachers, academics. I've spoken to teachers, a high school teacher, and I haven't been aware of what they're doing. They've been, some social gathering, and I've been there, and I thought I've been dealing with some sort of brain dead moron with an IQ of 90. Turns out they're a senior high school teacher. You go, holy fuck, that can't be right. Whatever failings the high school teachers may or may not have had when I was at school, at least the majority of them, knew what they were doing. Now it seems to be you just teach or regurgitate the shit that's been given you by the department, and that's the end of your job, other than telling all boys they're bad and girls they're stunning and brave and that sort of thing. So the positions of teacher has become one of ideological relevance rather than educational relevance. But this putting lower quality, which means you can put lower quality people in those jobs. Now, what got me onto this is something I often think about, but what got me onto this recently was one of the retail chains that we subscribe to their promotional newsletter, and they send out a promotion saying there's a certain product that they're promoting that month and or that fortnight, I think it was, and it's available at your local store or your nearest store. So I was going in there and I said, I'll go and get that. Now, just as a cover, I took a photograph of the screenshot photograph, so I could go in with the picture and with the proof that it was from the company and all that sort of thing. And so I get there, and the supposedly the staff member responsible for this, it's a young girl who I suppose was pleasant enough, and she clearly didn't give a shit, but she wasn't sort of unnecessarily rude. It was just the don't care attitude. And so I explained it to her show, and so she said no, she didn't know anything about it. Look, I'm too busy, really. Look, I've got other stuff to bother about. This is too much for me to deal with. So go and talk to the supervisor. So I go to the supervisor. The supervisor gave me pretty much the same thing of don't know, don't care, can't be bothered. And then the supervisor, the manager of the store, I suppose, came along and said, well, I don't know anything about it. I said, well, it's your own company, your own head office is doing this promo, and here's the screenshot of it. And the manager took the view, who's a gay guy, by the way. He took the view that, he just said it outright. Look, you have to get onto the website and show me the entry on the website and prove to me. So it's totally on you to prove this. Maybe we do get memorandums come round or advisories, but I'm too busy to look at those. So you, the customer, have all the responsibility to prove to me that my own company's promotion is real. You've got to be kidding. It's your company. Your own company is promoting this and telling me, the customer, about it. Nah, don't care. Up to you to prove it. So even the screenshot that I had, which I thought was pretty categorical proof, it had the company's logo on it, had the date on it, had all the relevant the product information on it, and but given it was a photograph from the screen, it didn't. I just had my burner phone with me as well, so I couldn't really get on the internet anyway. But eventually, after haggling and negotiating, it must have taken me, if I'd known it was going to take as long, it must have taken me 20 minutes plus, actually. They finally conceded they would do. So if I came back in a few days' time, they would have it organised. I'm yet to test that. But when you're dealing with that many don't care, don't give a shit, incompetent people, also the lack of organisation and training generally. So if you're going to do promos and you're sending it out to customers, come into the store and get this promo item, wouldn't you have a tighter sort of chain of communication? Wouldn't you make sure when you have like I don't know, maybe a weekly meeting with the promotional department and head office that, okay, the promotion for this week is such and such or so and so. Wouldn't you make sure that the memorandums you sent round were responded to or at least acknowledged? But the whole thing was so half-assed, but it made worse by people who don't give a shit. And this must be in the head office as well. The carelessness and the casualness that they're doing things without tightening up the loop to make sure that it all goes smoothly. So anyway, that was that sort of got me back onto, not that I'd stopped thinking, it got me back onto this idea wherever you go. You go into, went in a while ago into a mechanic's shop, and so one of the local shops, and I do a lot of my own maintenance work now because of the poor shoddy work that mechanic shops do, and so because of their failings, it didn't used to be like that. You used to get good quality work done. Now you don't get shit. It's so I went in and the agent, yeah, look, well, we can probably get to it in a couple of weeks. Yeah, look, why don't you come back in a few days and we'll see how we're traveling then. Well, okay, this is what I need done. It's a very specific job. I can do it myself. I'll go out and buy some tools that I don't really want to do because I'll use them so infrequently. But yeah, I don't know how much it'll cost. Yeah, but come back later. Maybe next week. That sort of attitude. Not only the guy didn't give a shit. Wasn't professional. Just was constantly going and shoulder shrugging. Now it's the same wherever you go into. Again, this is just, it's now universal, and I don't. And it didn't used to be like this. Going into on promotional thing, going out into a takeout food shop, a well-known chain, and again they've sent out their on their website. There's the promotions of the day or the week, whatever it was, and I'm driving past, thinking, oh yeah, I'll drop in there and get some, and find that they don't know anything about it. They got no idea. And again, they put the responsibility back on you, the customer. You have to prove it. But it's your own company. Can't you look at your own? Can't you do it? Oh, we're busy. Why should we look at the website just because you say so? Well, I'm a customer. That's what the promo is. And, well, then prove it. It's up to you. We're too busy. Why should we do that? Why should we give you service? And now, I remember going into chains like McDonald's, in the earlier days. They hadn't been in Australia that long, by the way. And I was always impressed with the quality of service. The staff were knowledgeable, well-trained. They were keen. They were eager. They were like high school kids, early college kids, that sort of thing. Same age as me at the time, really. But I was always impressed with the snappy service. They were keen, they were eager, they were bright, they were knowledgeable. And the same goes for kids, say, working in, grocery chain stores. There was a lot of high school kids and, again, college kids, so on. And these casuals, these temporary staff, they were, for the most part, at least, I'm sure there were exceptions, they were bright, keen, eager, hardworking. They wanted to do good stuff and good work and give good service and be helpful and to be well thought of and all these sorts of things. And and that was pretty much the universal attitude. I recall my first job, or early professional job, full-time job. And we were all like, what they used to call them cadet trainees back in the day, and we were all very keen and eager and wanting to do well and please the boss, please the customers, and we wanted to be well thought of and to be perceived positively, and worked hard do that. And we're all there on some form of merit. We were the best, most qualified people who fronted for the interviews and who were available and this sort of thing. And I noticed just how quickly things changed once affirmative action and diversity, equity, inclusion and equity outcomes started to come in. It seemed to be universally, it was the most capable people that were getting replaced, but they're being replaced with people of much lower caliber. And, you know, in a takeout food store, the service you get today compared to the service of years ago, and the difference is it's night and day, the difference. But this is everywhere. And ideology plays a big part. You know, looking at, I went into a library recently, and I mentioned this in another video, to find that there was more books about lesbian heroines of history than there is about American presidents or British prime ministers. The American president most feature. There's more books about Obama on the history biography and history shelf in certainly the libraries I've gone into recently. More books about Obama than there is about all the other presidents combined. So they've been 47 presidents or something in the United States. Well, there's more books about one of them there isn't about the other 46. You're kidding me, right? But no, that, and same with British prime ministers. The most leftist, pro-globalist British prime minister in history, again, has more books about him than all the other British prime ministers combined. This. I got out a book recently about how the Industrial Revolution in Britain and the Renaissance and Industrial Revolution period, and this is written by an internationally known radical leftist who is feted by all the leftist literary groups and so on. The only book in that whole library about the Industrial Revolution and the Renaissance, the Western Renaissance, is written by this particular activist, radical leftist activist. And the ideology in it is until the white people stole the natives' land with brutality and savagery, and Hitler and Nazi and fascist and swastika, and the depiction of white people as being the most evil creatures ever conceived, in all time, and their wickedness is to levels of the unspeakable, is all through this fucking book. That's not a history book. That's an ideological rant, and yet that's the only book. If you're a school kid or something who wanted to do research on this and you went to the library, you would just get this activist piece of shit. And it's not even well written either. So this is the downgrading. In order to achieve equity, equity is perceived not simply as putting black lesbians in senior positions, but of moving straight white males out of all positions. In fact, that's the bigger part of the equity program. Now, it just so happens the straight white males who have meritoriously achieved their positions are the most capable, competent, and qualified, whether it be in engineering or whatever. But they've been replaced, and in the name of equity. But equity, first and foremost, is removing straight white males who are there on merit and replacing them with black lesbians who are not there on merit, or other people who are not there on merit. But this involves a decline in standards across the board. The person responsible for doing the employee training and standards and service standards in one of these fast food takeout food franchises, or chain restaurants, as they would call it. They're a black lesbian, and they're with personal pronouns, and their commitment is to equity programs, not to actual quality of training. So, and the people they appoint are also black lesbians, not there on merit, who have no concept of independent, impartial standards. And so these independent standards, meritorious standards, are vitally important, as in not only maintaining standards but delivering quality to the whether it be the employees or the customers, the buying public, or whatever. And so the decline is across the board. And I think everybody's noticed it. And we're all paying a terrible price for it. And is this price worth paying? Well, we're all bankrupt, and we're all, standard of living has all gone to shit. But gee, we've got a black lesbian as the chief engineer on that road building project. Look, it's all been worth it. Well, no, it's not. No, it's not been worth it. It's been a terrible decision, and it's costing us all dearly. You've been Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.